everybody, it's Mr. Wagstaff. Cool stuff to talk about today. So today we're starting a unit on education, income, and lifestyle. Getting more into the personal finance aspect of this course and start talking about how to achieve the lifestyle that you would like to have. So we're going to start talking about the impact of education that has on the income and how that has an impact on the lifestyle that you'd like to lead. Let's go ahead and get started. As we're starting this unit, there is a general understanding you got to know about personal finance and life in general. It's not easy. Usually the things that are most rewarding are the things that are hardest fought for. So as we start talking about this stuff and we start talking about accumulating wealth and stuff, and it starts feeling like this is like that would be ridiculous, that'd be really hard. It is hard. Life in general is hard, especially in a market economy where you need money, you have to earn money, and you have to manage your money in order to achieve the lifestyle that you want. It's not easy. Life is not easy. Now, it can be incredibly rewarding, and this entire course is trying to give you the skill set to basically manage your own life, especially your finances, into which you can maximize how enjoyable your life is. So, let's start here by talking about how education and income affect your lifestyle. So, not super surprisingly, you've probably heard this most of your life, and while sometimes schools can get negative pushback that it seems like we're always pushing students, you have to go get a 4-year degree. A lot of times that's because us teachers, we all got 4-year degrees, and we have a tendency to think it worked for us, it should work for other people. However, there's a lot of different educational avenues that you can take in order to be successful. However, let me give you some basic statistics here. Number one, the biggest overall, indicator of how much money you will make is based very closely on your level of education. Now, I think Bill Gates was a college dropout and he's a billionaire. There's clearly professional athletes that make crazy amounts of money who have probably nothing but a high school education. However, they are the exceptions, not the rule. So, to point that out, this is generally speaking how much money people earn per week, and this was as of 2021. So if you have less than a high school diploma, you earn, this is at your peak, it's $626 a week. All right, which sounds like a bunch of money, and as we go through this course, you'll start learning how little money that actually is. But the unemployment rate, all right, the lower your education, the less employment you are. So while there's high school diploma, and this goes up to associate's, bachelor's, master's, professional degree, doctorate degree, we're also going to talk a lot about, starting in this unit, about trade schools and technical schools and other aspects other than community college or a 4-year university. There's a lot of other avenues for education. But your education is a pivotal aspect that will affect your desired lifestyle. How much money you make really is impactful of your lifestyle, and education impacts income. So what is income? Income is the money that a person or entity receives in exchange for their labor or investment. It's how much money you get paid at your job. The higher your education, typically the higher the income, which then leads to your desired lifestyle. So another important aspect that affects your lifestyle is not just your education or how much money you're making, but it's how much debt that you have. So debt is a common part of our society. Debt is not necessarily bad. If you go buy a house and you have to pay $250,000 for a house, you probably don't have that in your bank account. So you will borrow that from the bank, and at that point you're $250,000 in debt. Well, you have to pay that back. And so while you might be making a bunch of money, depending on how much debt that you have and how much you have to pay back, cuts into the amount of money you actually have to spend, which is called disposable income, which can affect your lifestyle. One of the biggest things that can affect your desired lifestyle is the career that you choose, because your career is what is going to pay you. Certain educations allow you to have certain careers. Those careers pay a certain amount of money. The career that you have, positive and negative, from all aspects affects what your general lifestyle will be. So these are just some different degrees or jobs and how much they pay. So the higher the income that you have, it drastically affects your lifestyle. So I keep talking about lifestyle, and you're like, what? What is he talking about lifestyle? So basically, what do you want to do in your like in your free time for enjoyment? And you're like, I just want to go sit at home all day and not do anything. Probably not going to be an option. Because you need money to have a home to sit in all day. You have to work in order to get that money. So what do you want to do in your free time when you're not working? And you have to work in order to finance that lifestyle. And lifestyle is as unique as individual people. So these are a whole bunch of different lifestyles, concepts here. We're going to break them down as we get further in this unit of kind of combine these and give general ideas of different lifestyles and what path people would have to take to achieve those specific lifestyles. But the question here is, what are the most important aspects that affects an individual's desired lifestyle? So it's a collection of what we just got done talking about, and you can even go here and explain what you think is the most important aspect to achieving the lifestyle of what you want to do in your spare time as you get older. So pause me, answer that completely. We're moving on. All right, so let's talk about education's impact. We're going specifically talking about education now, all right? On its impact on life and your financial goals. So let's start out with the idea of career opportunity, career advancement, all right? The higher education, the more ability you have to advance in your career. So even if you go to college and you get the degree that you want and that you are striving for, doesn't necessarily mean you're going to start out making $100,000 a year. A lot of times, regardless of your education, you're going to start out at the bottom rung wherever you're starting at, all right? And you're probably not getting paid a whole lot right out of school, even if you have all these degrees. A lot of times those degrees get your foot in the door that you wouldn't get in otherwise. At that point, it's up to you, and you have to work your way up, all right? That's what career advancement is getting a career in which there are ways of you moving up, and as you move up, you'll get more responsibilities, and you will have a higher income, which will affect your life and financial responsibilities. So there are plenty of rich people who lose all their money because they're dumb. Happens all the time, all right? They lack what is financial literacy, something that we're going to try to use in this course to help you understand basic concepts of how to manage your money that seem simple and trivial, but left unattended can cause just catastrophic consequences. So financial literacy is the ability to understand and effectively use various financial skills, including personal financial management, budgeting, and investment. So when you get money, what do you do with it now? All right, so you're always going to feel like you're treading water. At no point in life are you going to be like, I have more money than I know what to do with. You see people on social media or whatever that trust funds, whatever, they just have like, I bought 3 helicopters today. That's not the real world. So basically the encouragement is to have the most fulfilling life long term is fake poor now, real rich later, meaning even though you're never going to have enough money, and you're like, I can't save money right now, it is always live a little below your means, save some, invest some, and then as you get older, that money grows, and not only have you trained yourself to live off less, the amount of money you have access to grows later. If you spend all your money every month, you're never going to be able to invest and then move up and have savings and retirement. We'll talk about some of the benefits of having savings here in just a minute. So one of the major things that deal with the importance of professional advancement, which then includes income, better lifestyle, is networking, social time. A lot of people, it comes very naturally to them. Some people it doesn't. And networking is an extremely important skill that you need to have in almost every career choice that you take. Networking is literally just getting to know other people and having them get to know you. The reason this is really important, especially people who are in businesses, in firms that are making more money than you, people that you can learn from, and getting to know them on a professional basis is very important, because you're going to see this happen in life and you're going to be like, this is so unfair. But I'm letting you know now, get in on the ground floor of this unfairness that is human nature. Because one of the worst kept secrets in all of America in the work environment, when it comes to getting jobs, it's not always what you know. Now, if it's a job that requires a college degree, then you're going to have that college degree. But if they have 10 people with a college degree, who do they hire? If you know one of the people that work there, you're probably getting hired, even if you're not the best candidate. A lot of times it's who you know, not necessarily what you know. And networking is pivotal for professional advancement, because if you know a lot of people, the opportunities are much more prevalent and there for you than if you don't. That leads to earning potential. Your education, networking, how much money can you make? So you start out at a certain rate, but you can look up the ladder and say, if I work my way up, I can make that much money. That would be your earning potential. All right. To go back to education and the importance on that and how education affects your earning potential. This is, does it have a year on this? We'll say probably 2019. I tried to get stuff that wasn't during COVID, so have more realistic views here. But if you have less than a high school diploma, at your peak, $30,000 is the max that you'll make a year. That is basically working absolutely full-time at McDonald's, making $15 an hour. That would be about $30,000 a year before taxes, and we'll talk about that. High school diploma, $38,000. It's not a huge jump. Some college, 43, associate's degree, which is a 2-year degree, we'll talk about that, 46, bachelor's jumps up to 64, master's, 77, a professional degree, and we'll talk about that, is a 96, and then doctorate degree is 97, and that's on average. So not only is education important, but networking and who you know is pivotal. And that's the question. Why is networking so important to career and professional advancement? So pause me, answer that completely, and we're moving on. All right. So let's talk about your impact, the income, the amount of money you make, impact on your life and financial goals. So you can live a comfortable life on a lot of different salaries, a lot of different incomes, but you have to be smart about it, all right? You don't have to make $20 million to live comfortably, all right? You can make $50,000 and live comfortably if you're smart, all right? Which is kind of the skill set we're trying to give you here, is understanding how to do things. The number one thing is budget for your lifestyle. Know what you want to do in your spare time. You like going four-wheeling, you like to play video game, whatever in your spare time, all right? You have to budget for that, all right? So you take the amount of money that you have, and then you're going to break it up and budget it. Understand that just because you make $50,000, you're going to bring home more like $32,000 because the rest goes in taxes. Then you have to break that down into, how much am I going to spend on clothing, on entertainment, on insurance, on housing. And we'll talk about housing, because housing is a huge a part of that. And transportation, savings, savings, I don't need savings. I'm just trying to survive right now. Talk about that in a minute. Savings is very important. So not only do you have to break it down here, one of the most important things to focus on is debt management. If you just happen to be lucky enough somehow that you don't have debt, hooray. But the vast majority of Americans either have a house payment car payment, some credit card debt, some type of debt where they've borrowed money from somebody to usually large purchases to buy, then they have to pay it back. So debt companies don't necessarily want you to pay it back all at once. They would love for you to pay the minimum payments because it spreads it out over a much larger period of time, and you have to pay extra on top of that. But if you commit more money up front to it, you can get out of your debt quicker, and at the end of the day, you have spent less money because you've paid interest a less amount of time. So how you manage your debt, right, with your income is a pivotal part of how much what's called disposable income, how much money you have left over for fun stuff. If you keep paying as little as possible on your debt, you're going to be paying on it forever, and you end up paying a whole lot more for it. Because we're planning for the long term here. I'll do it for a couple years, be fine. We're planning for 100 years. You live to be 100. Those debts stay with you. You don't get rid of them. So another way of budgeting is your savings. Having your savings for a retirement plan, emergency plan, savings is important. I keep talking about savings. There's always money you need to take and set it aside, because if not, it will wreck your lifestyle. Here's why. You can budget for almost everything except for emergencies. And emergencies show up and can absolutely wreck your budget. All right. So unexpected expenses. 3 out of 5 Americans had a major unexpected expense in the last year. Your car messes up and it's $2,500 to fix it. And if you don't fix it, you don't get to go to work. How do you pay for that? If you have savings, you can and you'll be furious about it, because as you turn into an adult, you start spending a ton of money on something that doesn't seem to improve your lifestyle. Like, I spent $2,500 and my car is just like it was yesterday. Yay. And that gets frustrating after a while, but that's adulting, all right? So having savings is how you pay for that. Now, if you didn't have savings, you could put it on a credit card. But that's where you get in this debt that just starts snowballing, and it wrecks your future if you don't pay it off quickly. And if you didn't have enough money, if you didn't have a budget where you were saving it, how are you going to have a budget in which you can pay off your credit card debt? And that will snowball and just kind of wreck any disposable income that you have. Car trouble, medical bills, even if you have insurance, you could pay $5,000 out of pocket if you have to have a surgery. That correct. If you don't have insurance, it can be even more catastrophic. So having a budget and making sure that you have savings is vitally important. And obviously the more income that you have, the more that you can put into savings and be able to pay off debt. Because debt and debt that you're not paying off can have catastrophic consequences on your disposable income. So here's something at your age is probably really obscure to imagine. But if you did it now, 40-year-old you is high-fiving you and makes life much easier as you get older, is investing. Taking money and putting it in something and knowing you're not going to touch it and watch it grow over time. Make your money make money for you. And you're like, dude, I'm making $14 an hour. There is no way I can invest. And I understand that. And it might not be possible. But if there is any possible way that you can invest in long-term CDs or anything like that, doing it early is way better than doing it later, because it takes time to grow. So savings is basically just sitting it there in a savings account. It just sits there, waits for you to use it. Investing is taking the money and putting it in something that's going to grow over a long period of time. There is some financial risk with it, but usually the higher risk, higher reward, like stock markets and stuff, not going to encourage you to do that. But there are some lower risk long-term investments, especially if you're planning for college and things like that. There's stuff like 529 accounts, but we'll get into that in future lessons. But investing pays off later, because you will start getting paid back from your investments at a consistent rate. And retirement planning. Again, we're planning to be 100 years old. If you have higher income, you need to be planning for your retirement. You're like, retirement? I'm trying to survive this week. It's a common mentality. However, you don't want to be working when you're 75 years old, 80 years old. If you put some money aside now, it's a type of investment, it will grow and you can end up living off of that money the last part of your life. All right? So retirement planning is incredibly important to start it as early as possible. I know it seems absolutely impossible right now that you will ever be 70 years old. At the time of recording this, I'm getting ready to turn 40. I still feel like I'm 14. Somehow this happened to me, as it has happened to every human in the history of forever. It will also happen to you. I know you're going to be like, no, it will not. It will. And you logically know that I'm telling you the truth, but emotionally you're still like, I'm not. I'm never going to be an old. Not like Mr. Wagstaff. You will. And you owe it to future you. That present you is investing for retirement in the future. Because when you're 90 years old, you're not going to be able to do the same job. And you're going to need some type of income to survive, and you need a retirement plan. So the question is, how does the amount of income made from a chosen career affect the ability to pay off debt? So pause me, answer that completely. We're moving on. All right. So let's talk about your career now. Your career's impact on life and financial goals. Your career strongly suggests find a career that has job security. Means a job that you're not likely to not be fired from. I mean, you can be fired from any job for doing the wrong thing, but a job that's not like a seasonal job and then you can lose that job when the next season comes around. Something in which they don't have a lot of layoffs, something that has been around and it is secure and you're pretty much guaranteed to continue having that job as long as you continue to do it and do a good job at it. Because there's a lot of jobs you can be fantastic at and then they still have layoffs. Tech companies, Google, they have layoffs all the time. All right, these people are engineers and they got paid a ton, but their job was deemed unnecessary after a certain amount of time. So here's how you can build job security at a lot of existing jobs. Become an expert. Be an expert at your thing. Be hard to replace. Help others. All right, master new technology, that's very important. Again, become an expert, understand the new ways of doing things, always be advancing. And then the next one is develop your soft skills. Notice, help others, develop your soft skills. Both of those are social. It's networking. The more entrenched you can be in the social aspect of your job, all right, and knowing people that are high ups provides more job security. Now, one of the most important aspects of all of this is a work-life balance. If you don't have a work-life balance, you can just throw everything else away. All right? What do I mean by work-life balance? So here are two very much extremes. All right? Guy on the left is working himself to, he said this dude on the left makes $6 billion a year. Hooray. But he works every single hour. Sure, he's super rich and people are envious. Oh, I wish I made $6 billion a year. He doesn't get to have a lifestyle because he has no work-life balance. He has just worked himself frivolously. So yeah, he has all this money, but he has no time to go enjoy it. All right. Whereas the guy on the right clearly isn't. I just tried to find a picture of somebody who's not working enough. But this guy needs work. He can't enjoy his lifestyle because he has no income. All right. So working too much or not working enough can drastically impact your lifestyle. So finding the happy medium where you work enough to make enough money to enjoy life is called the work-life balance. All right, because most jobs, if you're willing to work yourself to death, your bosses will let you, and then you're replaceable, just like everybody else is. So work-life balance is pivotal to work enough to achieve the income, to be able to budget your money, pay off your debts, and be able to have your discretionary money and disposable income that you can travel or whatever it is that you want to do in your spare time. Ride four-wheelers, work on cars, hang out with friends, be able to have all of that, and you have to really compartmentalize different parts of your life in order to have that balance. So how does a good work-life balance impact the quality of life and financial goals? So we just got done talking about that. So pause me, answer that completely, and we're moving on. All right, so we're going to talk about life choices here. Life choices drastically impact your life and your financial goals. Here's some of the main choices you're going to have to make early on. One of the biggest ones is going to be, are you going to rent or are you going to own? Now, when you get started out, most people rent unless you have the ability to take a loan out and buy a house. Renting is simple. If you move around from city to city to city all the time, renting is good. But if you're going to hunker down in one location, generally speaking, buying a place, if at all possible, is beneficial. Once you get your mortgage payment, it's usually not much different than rent. And then after like 30 years, you own the property and you can sell it and make a profit. All right. However, if you rent, all right, you don't have to pay for the upkeep. Usually the landlords will come take care of a broken faucet or whatever. You have to pay for all of that if you own a house. So, different mentalities for different folks. Generally speaking, if you're going to stay in the same place for a long time, it is usually financially beneficial to purchase a house as opposed to renting if you're going to stay in the same area for long term. But you have to kind of decide that for yourself. That is a life choice for you. Another one is, do you want to get married, start a family? Because that makes a huge impact, both positive and negative, on your financial goals and what your lifestyle is. So you have to clearly think about that as you're growing up on whether or not you want to get married and start a family and how that's going to impact not only your financial goals, but your lifestyle as well. One of the earlier things you're going to have to determine is, what type of education do I want for the lifestyle that I want? All right. So here I listed the straight up, like community college, associate, bachelor's, 4-year, master's, doctoral. There's also trade schools. There's technical schools. Regardless of whether or not you're planning on going to college, all right, after high school, there is still some type of education you're going to need to get in order to have most likely your preferred lifestyle. Now, again, if you're a professional athlete and you can market your physical abilities for millions of dollars, absolutely do that. That's probably nobody I'm talking to right now. So you have to be logical on how you want to further your education. It doesn't have to be a degree, but it does have to be something that is marketable. If you want to go be a welder or work in a trade, there's a huge market for that, and you can make way more than me almost immediately by doing that. We'll also start talking about apprenticeships and internships and stuff here in the next couple lessons. How you manage your debt. If you put your debt off, it's just going to come back and attack you later in life figuratively, but you have to be aggressive on your debt or it's not going to be effective. And this one is huge. Healthy lifestyle. How healthy of a lifestyle do you want to choose to live? A healthy lifestyle is incredibly important to not having financial burdens. If you live an unhealthy lifestyle and you're smoking cigarettes and you're eating a bunch of junk food, in your 20s, you're probably fine. However, this is going to start catching up to you in your 30s and your 40s, all right? And you're going to start having medical issues, and medical bills will pile up and wreck any savings or anything that you had going for you over a long period of time. So living a healthy lifestyle over the long term is much more beneficial to you financially, and the life choices that you make, which lead to a healthy lifestyle and then therefore lead to a more constructive and long-term financial plan. So the question here is, how does housing impact your quality of life and financial goals? I want to clarify here, mismanaged housing in today's market is probably the quickest way of ruining your financial future. So determine how much you can afford, how you can do it, and stick to your guns on housing, because housing can get expensive. So choosing whether you rent, you buy, you get roommates, live in an apartment, all of that is pivotal to your financial success. All right, that's what I got for you guys today. See y'all tomorrow.